Welcome to the show. This is where your offers get sharper, your messaging gets stronger, and your business becomes impossible to ignore. Let's begin. This is the Marketing Makeover Show. Let me fix your marketing in real time. Hey, welcome to the Marketing Makeover Show. My name is Chris Moore, founder of Pocket Marketer. And today I'm here with Tanisha, and we're here to serve her. We're here to make over her marketing or create it from scratch. So let's start. Tanisha, first of all, can you just tell everyone hello, tell everybody about yourself, your business, and then we'll dive in.
Okay, I am Tanisha, live in Phoenix, Arizona. The most beautiful time of the year is right now. In the summer, we burn up. But right now, come visit us. There's no snow. And I am starting a coaching business for anybody in the beauty industry. So I have created a program and I have coined the phrase salon auntie because no one wants to listen to their mother. They want to listen to their favorite auntie. So that's me. Been a licensed nail technician, salon owner for over 30 plus years. Aside from that, ran about 3 or 4 other profitable businesses. One was an e-commerce on Amazon for years, which was, multi-million-dollar company for that. And just learning businesses, legal stuff. I've done it all. Can't even tell you. It's too much time. But I put all that in my brain. And now I decided I need to help people in the beauty industry because they have no idea how to run a business. And it's very difficult when you are a cash to consumer type of company. You know, you don't have a paycheck, you don't have benefits, you don't have 401k, you have none of that, but you got to try to figure out how do I live my life as if I'm a W-2 employee, but I'm not. So I'm going to teach them business principles, wealth building. How do you retire? How do you just structure a business when you've never known anything about it? So that's what I do. I'm excited about it.
I love it. So it's called Salon Auntie.
The salon auntie, that is me.
I love the idea of, no one listens to their parents, but your aunt, your uncle usually are pretty good people to go do it for advice. So right. I love that.
Right.
So let's break this down a little bit just to make sure I fully understand kind of where you are on the journey and exactly who you're going to be helping and what you're going to help them do. So we got to be really clear on our positioning in general. Okay. And the more clear we can be on that, the easier it's going to be to talk about what we do as well and talk to the right people and repel the wrong ones. So just to start, you shared with me a little bit earlier that you've actually gotten some traction for this. One of the things that I do as a marketing and a sales professional, business development professional, is I focus on finding where the demand is. And you went out and ran some ads, correct me if I'm wrong, and you got a whole bunch of feedback from it. Yeah. And you picked up like 100 plus clients already.
Yes. In like a month and a half, maybe.
So tell me about that. What did you put on the ads and who did you target?
I was trying to do a professional ad and I wanted to pay somebody to do a studio and all this. And my boyfriend's like, your cell phone's better than my camera phone. So just use your cell phone. And so I was like, okay. So I just did it right here. And I just talked to the people. And it was probably a 1.5-minute little video ad. Like, hey, this is what I do. I know you need help. I've been there. Check me out. I'm the salon auntie, blah, blah, blah. So I did this little video and I ran Facebook ads. And I just did the United States first, just so that I could see the traction that I'll get. And I also created a short VSL on my funnel page. So when they click it, they will then get maybe like a 3.5-minute video of me. I didn't want 8 to 10 to 15 minutes because I hate when I see VSLs and I'm stuck watching something for 15 minutes. So I was like, listen, we don't have time for that. Auntie ain't got time for that. I have a happy hour to get to. So here's what I got. So I just made it really real and just said, this is what I know your life. This is what I have. So I created a course for them. It's 30 minutes a day for 7 days. It's called Start. And if they do this every day for a week for 30 minutes, I can help them at least figure out their holes in their business, what they need to add, what they maybe need to take out, and some things they never thought of. And it's just a quick jump start to get you started. You can take the course, buy the book. Here it is, $17. Let me get into your house. And if you need more help, you can talk to me personally on coaching.
How much was it?
$17. Just
$17. So you took them from ad to landing page, VSL, button or an order form below that, and it was $17 and you sold over 100 of them?
Yes.
Okay. What have you done with those people since then?
They are in my go high level contact list, waiting for me to sell them more stuff. I don't know.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
I
Well,
have
we're
another
primed.
idea. So I'm like, okay, let me branch out. So I'd like to create maybe a community for them to get in, and if we do maybe a monthly coaching call where I just help them with their business, ask questions, they can be a part of the community, pay a little bit monthly for that, so I have some recurring income that way. But I don't want to be coaching people one-on-one all the time. That takes a lot of time, so I'd like to kind of bundle it. But this
Mm,
is my next step. So before I mess it up, as I'm building this customer list, I stopped and bought your program because I'm
love
like,
it.
I need to market to them the correct way.
Well, beautiful. Let's determine. Let's actually go define some terms you said, because people watching may not know. You referenced a VSL. VSL, super simple, is a video sales letter, and there's not a right or wrong way to do a VSL. The old school way is when you saw a white screen with black writing, and as the narrator was reading to you, you were able to read the words in real time on the screen. And it's a video style that's made to use with persuasive copy to get someone to either opt in or to buy something on landing pages. It can be used in ads. They're very, very effective. And you use a 3 to 5 minute VSL, which is awesome. So it's a great mechanism to take somebody from cold traffic or paid media, we call it, Facebook ads, Instagram, TikTok, to a landing page, and essentially deliver a sales message and getting them to take an action below, whether it's opt in or buy. So you did that really well. Now you've got all these people primed and ready to be back-end buyers, right? So let's go over a few other terms here as well, and then I'll ask you some questions. One term that you all should know if you're listening, or I'm teaching you now, is called AOV versus CPA. AOV is average order value versus cost per acquire, cost per acquisition. So let me ask you a question. You got over 100 buyers on that. $17 was the revenue from that sale. How much did you spend in ads to get those 100 buyers?
Well, I did have a couple upsells as well. So
Okay, let's hear about it. Yeah.
upsell, so they could opt in for an advanced program that I sold for 37, which gave, if they were in the business for longer than 5 years, then maybe they need a little more advanced. So I had that as a buy upsell, and then
Mhm.
also had you could get a one-on-one kind of coaching with me for 97. I had a couple people buy that. I would say I probably broke even because my price was so low, which was fine. I know I'd rather break even and acquire the client for free, basically, than to not be in the red. So if I spent 3 grand, I probably made 2,800, just to say
Okay.
so. So
Love
not
it.
yeah, not very much out of my pocket, but at least now I
Love it.
have a customer base.
Love it. This industry can be difficult. I own some coaching companies, some in the 8 figures annual revenue, and it's a game for many, many years. My mentors have taught me is, can you break even or lose a little bit of money to acquire a customer, especially when you're dealing with digital products or online coaching, and you're trying to get most of your customers from ads, which is very, very scalable. So the idea of making $2,800 and spending 3,000 is great, as long as you have a back end offer for really that profit maximization. So we can talk about all that stuff today, no problem, and work on building all that out and give you a lot of really good strategic direction. And I think it's smart as well that you pause for a moment and say, oh, found some demand. This is working.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can I take that $2,800 that I made? I'm down negative $200 at the moment. If I have
Yes.
100 people, the rule of thumb usually is that 100 of them may spend 17, 10 of them may spend 1,700, and one
Right.
of them may spend 17,000, right?
Yeah.
So how do we go and get that 1,700 times 10 plus the $17,000 buyer? And now your return on ad spend or your ROI, it's just absolutely astronomical. And that's
Right.
where money's made. The other thing is remembering the principles of, if there's 10 leads, often about 5 or 6 of them are really good candidates. One of them will never buy from you no matter what. 2 or 3 of them could be decent, but maybe the timing's wrong. And of the 5 or 6 who are good candidates, only 2 or 3 of them are going to make it a priority today. So that's why when we start to get into leads versus buyers, and then buyers into back-end buyers and repeat buyers, there's always a big drop off in those numbers. What you did, just to define it for everybody else, is you kind of skipped the lead process. You went from ad to buy. You
Mm-hmm.
probably, unless you did a lead form on Facebook, getting them to fill it out and then showed them the VSL, you may have just driven traffic directly to the page on the VSL with no opt-in, and then you're just getting buyers, which either way is really good. Later on, I would probably focus on putting a lead opt-in first. That way, people who don't buy on the sales page, you have the ability to follow up, but we can get in that later. But I just wanted to make sure everybody listening to this or watching this has an understanding. kind of that process at a higher level. So cool. We're on to something. There's real demand. Obviously, what you're doing is something that people find valuable, or they're already waking up this morning thinking about these problems, which is when you know you have something really good potentially. I think about Alex Hermosi, and he talks about in your career, you only need a few Grand Slam offers. You don't need multiple.
Mhm.
And you may put 10 things out into the world, and only one of them really, really hits hard. So when you get those early signs of, wow, I'm on to something, I like the fact that you pause and let's go do it right. So beautiful. So let's talk about the customer avatar, and that's just fancy speak for who's the ideal prospect.
Yes.
And for you, I think about two things. One is kind of what they're actually doing for their clients, whether it's nail tech versus cosmetologist versus somebody who does something different. And I think about timing. Timing would be, where are you trying to grab them? There's a couple different ways to look at that. So let's start with who exactly you want to serve with this offer. Is it just people who are in salons and spas and doing nail techs and just cutting hair and doing, what exactly is the ideal customer avatar?
So over the years, I've been a business coach for many, many people just because of the knowledge that I have. So my thought process was helping people just create a business. Like if you don't know how to create a business, but that platform is oversaturated, and I'd be competing with Susie Orman, and I don't have money like Susie Orman. So I decided to go into a specific niche, which is the salon industry, because
Got it.
I know this niche, and I know that there isn't a specific person that is teaching them because they know it. They're teaching them because it's the philosophy of a self-employed person, a 1099. They're just coming from, I've heard of how to help you. I know what that's like to live in that world, and how do you create wealth and retirement and travel and buy properties when you don't have a clue how to run a business. So being in the world, I can speak to them on the language that I know that they understand. So that's why I decided to do anyone in the beauty industry. So makeup artists, massage therapists, it doesn't really matter if you're in the health and wellness and beauty type world, or if you receive cash or credit card payment from a client, you are not a W-2 employee, you're my person.
Can you give me some more very specific examples? You said makeup tech, you said nail artist. Give me the rest of them. Just spit them out
So
for
we
me.
have eyelash, so they call them lash techs. We have
Mhm.
hair braiders, we have barbers, we have massage therapists, um, makeup artists, facial estheticians, anyone that you want to go get pretty.
Got it.
In
And
any capacity, yeah. So, and I put massage therapists in there because they still work client to client. They may not necessarily be doing your makeup, but they fall in that 1099 type of lifestyle. And people only look at 1099 folks as contractors that are contracted by companies. I'm a 1099 because I'm by a company. Well, you're a 1099 just because you got to file a Schedule C. Doesn't
understood.
really matter.
So I want to ask you some questions. I pulled up Pocket Marketer. The Marketing Makeover Show is powered by Pocket Marketer. And what I've been doing is been recording this conversation, and we're about to feed the world-class marketing brain of Pocket Marketer with everything it needs to know to go out and start creating your marketing. And I'm going to give it to you so you can put it in your account.
Okay.
But I want to go through a couple other questions. Tell me about this specific type of person. So it's characteristics of, they work in the beauty industry. They're by nature, just by the industry itself, they're going to be contractors. The 1099s file a Schedule C.
Yes.
And with that, some of the problems that they experience, that they experience, and obviously it resonated when you put the message out. What are
Right.
those problems? Is it really like not even being able to finance a house or a car, not understanding how to handle taxes and withholding? Like, give me all the problems that you're anticipating that they're having and what you're going to solve.
Yes. So all of that. So the credit part is very difficult because you normally are using people's tax returns. So if they're not good at, I guess, saying how much money they made and proving how much money they made, when you're in a cash type of business and everyone knows it, that you try not to report everything you make, which then
Sure.
that hurts you. So if you say I made $40,000 this year, after your expenses, you might run, that might be 10,000 that shows up on your tax return. No one's giving you a car or a house if you only make
Mhm.
10,000. You're in poverty level. So
Mhm.
it's very difficult to create wealth. Most of them have no idea how that you can still do Roth IRAs and different investments because you're not an employee. They don't realize they can still get health insurance. You don't have to have an employer for that. So the problems that they face is I get cash every day, I spend it every day, end of the month, I'm still broke. I made $6,000 this week, but I did this because they have no structure on how much money they're actually making and what they're actually spending. So I asked the young girl how much she charges for nails, and she charges $80. I said, how long does it take you? Almost 2 hours. So that's $40 an hour in her mind, but it's not, because that $40, you still have to take out the supplies that it takes you to do that client. You have to take out the expenses for your rent. You have to take out all of the taxes that you should be paying. All of that comes out of that $40 an hour. So you're really probably making 22. If that's the case, go get a job for 22 and you can have benefits. So if you want to be a business owner, you have to understand really what you're making, and none of them know that. So I dive into pricing structure, just how do you pay for taxes? How much should you put aside? How do you structure your business? If you don't have a LLC, do you have an S corp, which is the best thing for them to have, because they can actually use a payroll company to pay them a paycheck, so they have a W-2, but they're just a self-employed employee. So there's different techniques that they can do, and they don't know that it exists. So problems, that's one of them. How do you find more clients is a big one. Do I market on social media? Do I not? How do I price for my clients? If I raise my price, will I lose people? Just different techniques and different things that they can do. And should I go work in a salon and have different stylists that work for me so I can make money? Should I be self-employed and just have a suite by myself? Should I rent a booth? Should I have my own space? Should I work out of my home? And do I have contracts? Do I have legal stuff in place? Because you are dealing with people. Are you going to burn someone's hair out with a chemical? Are they going to sue you? Do you have proper insurance? So all those things, they don't even think of that. They just go and do hair.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
This helps me a lot because as somebody, and I say this humbly, as a world-class marketer, if I was going to go and build all your marketing for you, I'm going to need to know everything. I'm going to ask you all these probing questions. I want to understand what's going on inside the head of your perfect prospect. And I think this gives me a great insight into that. So just to summarize this, to me, I hear, hey, you went to school to learn how to do this one skill, or learn how to make money in the industry that you love. But what you weren't taught is how to build wealth at the same time.
100%.
And you weren't taught all the street smart things that you're going to learn because of the mistakes you're making, and it's going to set you back, or you can get these up front. So one of the things that I think about constantly in general is the awareness levels. And this is something we talk about in marketing a lot. And I'll pull something up in a second and we'll look at it together. And I talk about this on a lot of the episodes, because you have to learn how to speak to people based on their awareness level. That's one of the biggest things that most people don't pay attention to. Right? So let me share my screen.
Okay.
And I'll add that up here. Some people are going to be very aware already that they need to make this a focus. And then a lot of people won't be aware of that, right? So people who are unaware, they're unaware that this is even going to be an issue. The idea of going to try to finance a car or a house, and they're going to get declined because they don't even show income on their tax returns. Right. They're completely unaware. Some people are problem aware, where they've heard of somebody else having this issue, but it hasn't become a problem for them yet, and they haven't been looking for solutions. Some people are solution aware. And what that really means in this scenario is that they know that they're maybe not getting paid as a W-2. They may not even really know what that means, but they know they could probably talk to an accountant and have them guide them through the process, compared to someone who's product aware, most aware. They've already hit their head up against the wall. They've already paid the dumb tax. They've already gone into a buy here, pay here place, and embarrassingly weren't even able to get a car in a place where it was designed for it. And they felt like they looked broke, and it hurt their ego and their pride, because they feel like they've been making a good living. And it's that moment. So I think learning not just who you're looking to talk to, like people in the beauty industry, but also understanding what have they already experienced when I want them to come to me. And then learning how to speak to each one of those people in a different scenario, in a different way, right? Imagine we're talking to somebody who's unaware and say, hey, congrats on graduating from cosmetology school. Let me tell you what's coming. And then you go through all that compared to somebody who is most aware and says,
Yeah.
and you're talking to somebody who's in their mid 40s and they've been
Yeah.
doing this for 15 years and they don't
Yes.
have two nickels to run together,
Yeah.
and they're still living paycheck to paycheck, when if they would have just gone back and done it the right way, you can talk to them in a totally different way. So one of the things that I talk about a lot on the Marketing Makeover Show is just really understanding that. So now that we understand that, there's going to be different levels of awareness that are more likely to be a good client for you right out of the gate, or a good student for you. People who have already seen the world for what it is at some level. And that stops me to do some research in my mind. I say, okay, so what's the average age of someone coming out of school to go into this career path? Do you know that information?
No, there isn't an average age. People can come right out of high school if they're interested, but you have people that are 30, 40 years old. They're like, I've been doing this on the side forever and I hate my job. So now I'm going to go do this.
Got
Yeah.
it. Which
Yeah.
is what a lot of people probably do. Yeah. To me, I like to talk to people who've already seen the elephant in the room at some level, like people who are a little bit older and they have a little bit of wisdom and they know they don't know everything. And they've also seen that there's other people doing the same thing that I'm doing and somehow they're making money, right? Like my next door neighbor right here, I live on the water in a very nice area. My next door neighbor just sold her salon for quite a bit of money about a year and a half ago. And she made some decisions that are different than this lady over here who didn't know that that was possible.
100%.
So for me, I would probably target 26 and older in general, because the younger people, they haven't seen the elephant in the room yet. They don't really understand what they don't know. They kind of live in the moment and make a priority of what's going on today, not what goes on in the future. Like in business acquisitions in my Dealmaker Wealth Society company, a lot of our people come in, are on their second or third career, and they feel this moment of, I'm behind. I'm not as far along as I should have been. And it gives them that motivation to move. And in coaching businesses, you've got to find people who have already made this a priority.
Makes sense.
And that's the key. So let's dive into that. So from here, I've got a lot of the context I need. You know, I would ask questions like, hey, when someone does say no, I don't want to buy, why would they say no? What are their hesitation points? But you're not doing this over the phone. You probably don't have a lot of these conversations under your belt for just this coaching at the moment for this specific avatar. So I don't really want to worry about that. I don't want to make things too complicated that aren't really all that complicated. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to feed in the notes that we've been taking here so far into Pocket Marketer and give it to that beautiful world-class marketing brain. And let's dive in and do a few things in a few order. The fact that you're coming to me with an offer that's already in existence that obviously works, that's a great thing. I think the next stage of this would be to determine what was the next offer that you should put out next. There's a couple things that I look at very uniquely to me, and one of them is called the PITA factor. Do you know what the PITA factor is?
PITA as in PITA?
PITA, pain in the ass.
So
for me, I call it the PITA factor. So when I'm creating an offer, I actually have a calculator that I built. I can show you in a minute, where I literally put in the pain in the ass factor. And it shows, is this a pain in the ass to deliver on a coaching offer? Is this something that really wows them? Is this something they already woke up asking for? And it helps you take your offer and kind of condense it down to really the most impactful parts. And we want to create offers that people feel stupid saying no to. So we can go through some offer creation stuff today. We also can go through kind of creating a hooks and headline sheet, a copy sheet that kind of teaches you how to speak about what you're offering at a very high level. You already articulated it beautifully, and you have skills that a lot of people who come on this show won't exactly have. So you're already way ahead of the game. So let me just catch you up where we are. You see my screen, correct?
I do.
Where we are is inside the project. I created a project for you, and we're just going in, and I want to give this world-class marketer essentially a knowledge base to run with. So I took a transcript from the conversation we just had today, and I have put it into the system, and I bring it into a project strategy coach. And my project strategy coach, we can engage with it for a while, but essentially it's just saying, hey, let me make sure I understand everything, and then we'll move in and start working on some copy. We'll start working on offer ideas, what a value adder would actually look like. I'm not going to go through all that process, but I want to start there. So let's go into Pocket Marketer. It's got my flagship, Chris's brain, world-class marketer brain with stacked with a lot more knowledge than I could possibly have. And I want to go in and start talking with Pocket Marketer around like maybe what's next. We've given this context from our conversation to the machine. Now let's see what happens. So what I like to start with is thinking about, how do we talk about our offer? How do we talk about what we do? How do we create hooks and big ideas in headlines that are going to, someone who's the right customer for you, the right student sees it and they're like, wow, they can't help but stop and pay attention, right?
Right.
Because the most powerful word in sales and in marketing, period, is the word relevancy. And people pay attention to things that are relevant to them, relevant now, relevant to the pains that they have, the things that they're already thinking about, and they ignore everything else because you have to. You have to. We have something. Have you ever heard of the reticular activating system?
No.
The reticular activating system is something that you have uniquely in your brain that helps your body and your brain understand when to go from alpha to beta. Beta is actually the active brain waves. Alpha is kind of the background, right? So to kick into it, the reticular activating system says, wow, this is familiar. Wow, this is shocking. This is scary. Okay. And that's how we can desensitize ourselves already by watching all these reels on TikTok and all these advertisements all around us. Right. And instantly our brain says, oh, pay attention.
Yes.
When something's, so you have to create marketing material and the hooks and the headlines and the visuals and the way you open up conversations where people say, well, this is relevant to me. And that's why people look for things that are relevant, right? I'll give you an example. If you were a plumbing company and you're putting plumbing company ads all over the place, they're looking to see, is this relevant to me? How? Well, one, is it in the city I live in? Because if it's in New York and you live in Phoenix, it's not relevant to me. So they're looking for geographical references. They're looking for things that show this is up to date. This is timely. Okay. Imagine if you were looking for research on anything and you say, well, this is from 2022. It's not relevant to me. You know, I need timely. It needs to be location specific and it needs to be around something that makes sense to you. I'll give you an example in housing and real estate. If you were an agent and all of a sudden you see a picture of a house, if you're targeting people who are home buyers, if they're in the buy cycle, they see a house, they can't help but pay attention to it because it's relevant to them now. So you want to use words, images, symbols that take someone in the beauty industry and make them see it. A woman with very discreetly has a pair of scissors tattooed on her forearm. Like they see that. Like it's the littlest things that get people's attention. Okay. So we're in Pocket Marketer. I'm going to talk to it today. And well, actually, I'm just going to type it up. So I want to start by taking Salon Auntie and building out an entire copy sheet, hooks and headlines, avatar sheet breakdown, and the types of the way to speak to people based on awareness level. And we're going to go through this a little bit. And what I want to accomplish here is kind of have the ability for you to walk away with a lot more clarity on how to speak about your offer to make it uniquely, intimately relevant, where it like cuts through the news feed or the email inbox like a hot knife through butter. And then I also want to dive into the offer and say, okay, what can we do to serve these people at a higher level? What's their affordability index? We don't want to offer a $20,000 offer when they can't even spend $1,000.
No.
And let's also look at the pain in the ass factor sheet and say, okay, what can I do that is truly one-to-many and that will not really cause a lot of turmoil in your life? Because part of doing a coaching business is having the ability to go one-to-many, right? Have the ability not to just be maxed out as a consultant going one-to-one helping people. Doing coaching gives you leverage and it allows you to have the ability to help lots of people at the same time and do it in a way where it's more done with you, not done for you. And a lot of it's self-consumption focused, right? Whenever we get into a ChatGPT style tool like this in Pocket Marketer, a couple things I want to show you as well. We're letting this take a little bit of time. And the reason why I let it take some time is when I'm doing much deeper information is I want it to really absorb all of it. We gave it a pretty detailed knowledge base to work from. While we're waiting on that, I want to dive into a couple other things as well. We can jump into the big idea. Have you thought about the big idea and the big marketing idea for this specifically? And are you familiar with those terms?
I'm familiar with the term, but I need you to tell me what you mean by it for me. I am familiar.
Well, I will show you that. So the big marketing idea, and let's go over to a different screen here. And I try to use this as much of this as educational as anything else, because I want you to walk away with this understanding exactly why we did what we did, not just enjoying the benefit of what it is, right? So a big marketing idea, and let me share my screen.
When you get out of that other screen, it still works, even though you're in something else, right? It's still thinking.
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can. Emotional.
The big marketing idea is exactly as it says. It's the emotionally compelling, not just the logically intellectual idea, but it's also not just some promise of benefits or purely emotional. It's also appealing to both the head and the heart. Unlike an ordinary idea, the big marketing idea gets attention. So when I say I want to create a big marketing idea, I want to create something that people stop and pay attention to, and it's logically and emotionally compelling. That's the whole point of a big marketing idea. And this is where a lot of people have faltered. A lot of people have struggled with this because they don't start with the idea of sharpening the sword or sharpening the axe before they swing it, and having the ability to really pay attention to, okay, before I go out and see what sticks, throw up against the wall and see what sticks, let's go out and do enough research and enough preparation to put out the right message from the very beginning. Because you're playing with live wire at the end of the day. I mean, the idea of being able to go out and spend real money on ads, whose money is that? Is that yours or somebody else's?
Mine.
It's yours, right? So the idea of when you're a business owner or you're a startup entrepreneur at some level, you want to be able to make sure that you're being a good steward of that and you're not just pissing away money, right?
Okay.
For me, I can go out and spend $3,000 and make the money back pretty quickly because I can predict success. I know what's going to work. I know what's not going to work. Compared to a normal person may go out and just get lucky, or they just throw away money. Facebook ads, TikTok, these are really interesting things. It's like flipping a light switch and it just spends. It just spends. You could forget about it, come back in 6 months and either your credit card declined or it just spent $100,000. So this is live wire. So I like to do this first. So we're in the big idea generator now. And I said, hey, I want to start by creating some entire copy sheets, hooks, and headlines. And the big idea generator can help us with that process. Okay. It's designed to ask enough clarifying questions that a world-class marketer would ask, so it's not just creating crap. And let's go through and answer these questions. Okay, so what's the core offer or main product you want to focus on messaging for? Let's start with the existing offer, right? We've made $2,800 on 3,000 in spend. It's that 7-day, 30-minute daily course at $17. By the way, it knows this automatically right from the beginning because I put it in the knowledge base. And then let's just say there's an advanced program. It's a bump offer. And for anybody listening, a bump offer is when you ask if they want one more thing when you're still in the checkout process. And then there's something called an OTO, a one-time offer that's on the next page that says, hey, wait, stop. Before you finish, do you want this? So let's give it a bump offer at $37, and that's going to be for the advanced program. And then let's have an OTO on the last page for $199. And that's going to be for a one-on-one 30-minute consultation call. Okay, and let's just do this for example here. Number 2, the primary target for this avatar, we've talked about all the people who are in that industry, and it says, listen, from our conversation, it sounds like it needs to be 26 years old plus. So yep, that's correct. Main transformation or outcome, I think a lot of it is taking control over their future self, their future wealth, and running their business like a big girl or a big boy and not just working it like a job. And understanding that it's inevitable and they have to do it. It's a non-negotiable. So I think the transformation is the pride. It's the ability to actually be fundable and financeable and have the assurance that they can go out and buy a car, buy a house that they need to, that they're actually showing real progression in their career, not just making money and it being an empty, like a bucket with an empty hole at the bottom, right? And then let's start with the traffic, really focus towards cold traffic for now, because I don't think you have a giant 25,000 person email list of these people already. You're going to have to use ads, correct?
Right.
All right, cool. So let's go into here and let's go and press send. I had an issue earlier where it wasn't taking this because we're still in beta and we're figuring that out, but it takes just a second. But we gave it all that context, and now it's going to give us a lot of information of how we can talk about what we do in a better way. We're going to build out the hooks. We're going to build out the headlines. Here we go. It's working perfectly. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. Thanks for the clear answers. Here's the plan I want to build for you next. Focus on the $17 7-day course offer with a $37 bump and a $199 one-time offer. Here's what we want to do. So we want to create a copy strategy brief, a hooks and headlines swipe file, a customer avatar breakdown, and an awareness level messaging map. Let's go. Perfect. It's exactly what we want. And this is a process, anyone watching, I want you to go through this process, especially when you jump into Pocket Marketer and you want to market for a product you already had for a long time or a service. Maybe you're in e-com, maybe you're in professional services, whatever it is, go through this up front and you won't believe the clarity that you're going to be able to get around the way you talk about what you do. And your sales will start to go up from there. and your ability to go out and spend real money like you're spending and actually get effective results in the back end, because we're not just making things up. The reason why this is such an important process is because you're too close to your business. They say your nose is too close to the tapestry. We're inside the box. We're not outside the box. So this gives you a moment to essentially contract a world-class big idea generator to come in as a third party, interview you, and have the ability to help you get past the writer's block and help you see it from the outside perspective. And from a marketer's perspective, okay, if it was my business, this is how I'd market it, right? So here's the big idea. The core 7-day, 30 minutes a day offer is designed to help beauty industry contractors, nail techs, makeup artists, etc., break free from the paycheck to paycheck hustle. This course teaches them how to run their business like a real business, take control of their finances, and build real wealth so that they can finally become fundable and financeable, able to confidently invest in their future with like things like homes, cars, and retirement. Why this works: it's a target niche, it's underserved, and it's often overlooked by typical business or wealth coaches,
right?
Solo beauty professionals that usually work for 1099, not W-2. So it's powerful stuff, and it talks about that. So we can do a lot of different things from here. This is giving an entire brief: what a copywriter or media buyer must know to use this properly, common ways this can be diluted or misunderstood, where it should be used in the funnel. Like some really powerful things. It's giving you an entire roadmap. I'd like to come up with several big ideas and talk about it. Can we create 3 to 5 variations of the big idea, please, so we can choose one? And once again, the big idea to me is one of the first steps. Even when you have something that exists already and it worked, let's go in and make it better. Okay. And we do this in my businesses all the time. Pocket Marketer's big idea itself as a business, it's very, very focused. And if it's called, I think it's the software tool that replaces $100,000 worth of labor costs, marketers, and strategists, and removes all the guesswork. Like it gives you control over it again, right? It's a very powerful way to talk about what you do. That's undeniable. It's easy to understand, doesn't need explanation. And the person reading it, if they're the right prospect, say, that's exactly what I've been looking for, right? So here's some other ones: from hustle to business owner, how beauty pros finally get paid what they're worth. This idea reframes a typical beauty contractor as a struggle as a result from working from an employee or freelancer without true business skills. It promises a practical, no fluff way to shift into running a real business, pricing, taxes, client management, so they can stop hustling aimlessly and start building lasting wealth. It speaks to frustration, pride. Does this resonate?
Yes, it does. This
is for the problem aware, solution aware, probably a 2 to 3 on the sophistication level. And then also I have it built in as a saturation. So are other people saying it, right? So this is a fresh angle. The next one, it says the secret wealth blueprint for solo beauty pros who don't have a boss. This idea positions the course as a secret roadmap for independent beauty professionals who don't have the safety net of a W-2 job. It emphasizes financial freedom, fundability, breaking the paycheck to paycheck cycle, and it leverages the fear of being invisible to banks and things like that, right? So this is what we're building out right now. It's really powerful to be able to start talking about what you do in a very powerful way. From here, we're in the big idea generator. Obviously, we can go to the marketing coach. We can go to the paid ad strategist. We can go to the copy marketer, and we can go and build this out beyond that. Where we are right now,
let me ask you a question real fast.
Please.
So I have this in the big idea generator. If I go to another, let's say I go to Pocket Copywriter, does it still remember this? Even though it's in a different part of your app, does it still remember this big idea, even though it's in another tab?
It does. And I'll tell you why. What we've been building is the idea of we're going to create transcripts from these and automatically add them to the knowledge base continuously. So as we go from tool to tool, it's all building on each other.
Okay.
And that's the power of it. We've been in Pocket Marketer. It launched live to a very specific VIP beta group last Wednesday, early December. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll have the rest of the functionality in place where it's going to constantly getting smarter as time goes on. But it needs to have that. Otherwise, it's not going to function the way I want it to anyway. But yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So I have another show I'm recording here in a minute. I'm trying to push it back a little bit. I want to keep going with you for this. So the next thing I want to talk about is what do we do after we've identified the right big idea? So let's imagine we're going to go with this one here. I really like this one anyway, because
I like that too.
A lot of times, how do they identify? right? Do they identify as independent beauty professionals? Do they?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, they
we
do.
want to talk about it in the way that they identify, and that makes it more relevant. So let's go off this one right here. This is the winner. This is the winner. Let's create a big hooks and headlines swipe file. I always like to do this next because I imagine anyone I work with is going to need this anyway. Like, hey, let's go build out some ads. This is going to be kind of the compass for all the ways you talk about your offer moving forward. When you get into what's next after this, the back end offer, it's more of what we're doing to solve the next problem, right? Mm-hmm. Front end offers like this, and what it's called, they should teach the what, not the how. Okay. A front end offer should expose the next problem. It should teach the what, not the how. And then the back end offer is teaching the how. And then we have to position the offer and stack it Alex Hormozi style, where it gives them their dream outcome. It gives them a higher perceived likelihood of achievement because of the way you're doing it and what's unique about it. They feel like you're stacking the deck in their favor. Then we want to give them the ability to do it in a lot less time and a lot less effort and sacrifice, which is Alex Hormozi's value equation, right? So when we want to build offers for the back end, we're going to look at it that way. Another one of the mentors I've had is Onyx Singhal. He talks about people want to buy the gold. They want to hire you as the guide, and you need to show them the map and sell them the shovels, right? So that's the way you create the back end offer. But for the front end, it's all about how do we talk in a way that really gets people's attention and resonates. So I've got a cool big idea swipe file. Hey, you're your own boss, but can you prove it to the bank? That's pretty interesting. Why most beauty pros get denied for car loans and how to fix it fast. The secret to showing real income when you're paid in cash. How to stop feeling invisible to banks and lenders as a beauty contractor.
I love it.
Yeah, so you can see we're doing good work here. Next, let's think about that 3 to 5 minute VSL. Let's write this real quick. 3 to 5 minute VSL. I have one that worked really well. I would like you to help me rewrite it. Here, use Tanisha as salon auntie as the voice.
Wait, spell it right. Auntie.
I'm from Alabama.
That's okay.
So let's do that. So little by little, we can chip away at it. And we're not in Pocket Marketer, Pocket Copywriter. All of my tools are world-class marketers. They can do this. You can jump over to the other one if you want to. We can literally write the VSL scripts. We can write the emails. We can write the thank you page. We can do all of it here. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Please place the current VSL script. Oh, I don't have it handy. So just let them create me a new one.
And I do have one in mind. So you're going to put this in my account. I could go back in and add it if I wanted to.
I'm going to give you all this. I'm going to do a copy and paste export, and we're going to go put it in your account.
Perfect. Yeah, because then I can say this is what I'm currently using. Let me know what you think.
And what I did earlier, and you can't see this part of my screen, but I did it in my Not a Note Taker. So I'll give you the note taker. You can add that into your project, and then I'll give you a full copy and paste. You can literally go into your Pocket Marketer tool or the project strategy brief and say, here's my conversation from Chris. We did a show, and it's going to say, wow, this is gold. Let's go.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. So I don't have much time here at this show. I'd like to have you back if that's okay, and go deeper into this and do a second episode. But let's read a few of these before we end the show for today. Okay. So, hey, it's Tanisha, your salon auntie. Look, I know exactly how it feels to be out there hustling solo in the beauty world. You're your own boss. You love what you do, but man, sometimes it feels like you're stuck in a cycle. You work hard every day, but your bank account doesn't show it. And when you try to get a loan or finance a car or a house, banks look at you like you don't even exist. I get it. I've been there, and I'm here to tell you it ain't because you're not working hard enough. It's because nobody ever taught you how to run your beauty business like a real business. You got to show the banks and lenders the money, the real income you're making. And that's a skill most people don't learn in school or on the job. Yeah. That's the beginning. Then it goes into the problem. Then it goes into the secret, and it goes into the transformation. Like this tool is very, very powerful. And we're not even in the VSL creator, right? Like some cool stuff.
And that's not even having my information. That's just going off of what we talked about. So that's pretty good.
That's it. One of the things I showed you earlier behind the scenes is the knowledge base we're building, very similar to a ChatGPT system, where you can continuously add to it over time. You can go drop in all your testimonials. You could go drop in other things that you've done, and it will continue to get smarter and build for you from there. But the power of not having to go and hire a copywriter or sit down with yourself in a ChatGPT or do it yourself and try to figure out what formula to use and how should I write it? And should it be 4 minutes or should it be 8 minutes? And this can guide you through the entire thing. What I love about Pocket Marketer is the answer I don't know is okay, because I designed it to know for you. Right.
That's good. That's good. This is great. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yay.
So we'll get you access to all this stuff so you can put it in your account. Couple of takeaways from me, and I want to hear takeaways from you. In a perfect world, we have a lot more time. We could do a 3-hour podcast on this and go through and build out all your marketing. And I'm not against that. It's just time is of the essence for me. I got to do a coaching thing for my girls' bowling team tonight, right? But my big thing here is just because we did something that works doesn't mean we can't make it better. So let's stop and sharpen the axe a little bit before we start swinging it. Let's focus on really creating copy and the way we talk about what we do in a way where it repels the wrong person, it attracts the right person. And then let's also give tools like Pocket Marketer enough context so it can do the heavy lifting for us. Like, we could go in here and just be silent, and I could probably create a whole year nurture email sequence for you. I could create your landing pages, your sales pages, your thank you pages, all 10 of the emails you send to people who don't buy, the 3 emails you send to people who do buy. I could sell every one of your offers where it's literally plug and play, and then you're done. I could do all that in literally probably less than 35 minutes because I have a workforce, a swarm of amazing AI agents that are already primed on the project. And this is what we do, right? And then from there, it's just the sky's the limit. So I think part of it is not just going in and creating something, but using the hyper beautiful marketing brain, give it enough context and let it do the hard work. And it also will challenge you and say, listen, I get it, but I don't think that's going to work. Here's why. Let's do it this way. So what are your big takeaways today?
That's good. I like that I didn't know where to start. So I started not in the right place where you just did, but this big idea is great. But I like that it knows me. So once I give it all that I have and explain a little bit about what I want, it was spot on. Like, spot on. The idea was amazing. I can then put it in, the copywriter part. I don't even know what Pocket Marketer was. Like, I didn't even open that box. Well, that's where you start. That's your brain. So that's even better. But I love that even though I have these ideas and I can use Go High Level and I can create it, I still have to figure out what to ask.
Correct.
To get what I want. Correct. And sometimes I don't know what I want, so I don't know what to ask. And that's the hardest part. This is kind of like, hey, here's all the things you're going to need to market your business. Just go in here and use my brain and give me a little bit, and I can create it based on your knowledge. Do you see those plaques behind you? I didn't earn those.
Thank you.
You did. So let me just borrow what's in your brain. That's how I've made it.
And these conversations are helpful for me because as we're making Pocket Marketer continuously better, we want to guide you. So when you come in, you don't even have to think about, all right, which tool do I do? We're going to guide you through that process step by step. Say, okay, if you've got this type of project, just like if you had me, here's where we start. Because that exercise of going through that
would help. That was smart. That would help. Because I didn't know where to start. I'm like, I have no idea.
But that big idea, now that you have it, like, think about what you can do with that. That's your narrative. When you start telling everybody, like, hey, what do you do? Right. And you say, well, I teach a secret wealth blueprint to solo beauty pros who don't have a boss, because a lot of them don't have any money. They haven't accumulated any wealth, and they feel like they're just spinning in circles.
Right.
And then, like, all of a sudden, like, wow, okay.
No, I love all those. Listen, my only request is that you hurry up and send it to me.
I'll send it to you in just a minute. Yeah, I'll send it to you in just a minute. I got to go do another show.
I know, but it's like, I'll be waiting for you. No,
awesome.
This was amazing. Thank you for having me on it. Thanks for helping. I am excited to use the tool. I'm excited to see what else it can build. And what I like about it is it's evergreen. Like, you can't just start it and go, I don't need your service anymore. No, because it's always evolving. Things are always changing, and you're always going to need to make things better. And I don't want to pay a marketer for that because that's expensive.
Because think about, if you had to go hire me to go do all this for you, it'd be expensive. It's like because 20 grand a month minimum.
Right. Because
you don't need that though. You need Pocket Marketer, because I'm giving you all that here. So we're going to keep making the experience better. Thanks for being on with me today. We'll have you back again.
I appreciate it.
I'll get this to you within the hour. Let me finish this other show, and you have a lovely day.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Anybody watching, pocketmarketer.ai, super simple. We still have probably about 30 days left of beta. If you want to hop in as a beta user, it's $99. If you're already watching this way down the line, we're into 2026, pocketmarketer.ai. If you want to sign up, we'll give you a good rate. Welcome, and we'll see you in the inside. Thank you so much.
Bye.